Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today we're going to be trying to fix this Sony Walkman here. So this is from 1993 and it is a very basic one. We just have stop, fast forward, rewind, play. We've got a volume button, we've got a switch to go between normal tapes and metal tapes. They're slightly better quality ones. We have AVLS here and it looks like there is 3 settings for that, off, 1 and 2. I always thought AVLS was basically to stop it going too loud to save your hearing, because I've seen that on, I think it's the PS Vita and also I think the Nintendo Switch, but I was a bit confused why there's 2 other settings here. So I've googled it and basically it says here automatic volume limiter system, and this is from Sony AVLS. Automatically adjust music passages that vary widely for improved listener comfort and clear sound. So I don't think it is just to limit the headphone volume to save your ears, to save your hearing. I think it must be as well, if there's music that varies massively in sound, it tries to smooth it out a little bit, and I never knew that. Right, what else have we got here? Headphone jack, and that is about it. We've also got a little input here if we want to supply it with our own little power adapter to save us having to use the batteries. This takes 2 AA batteries. Got a little belt clip here. This is a very dirty. This is a very basic Walkman. I got it in a job lot with 7 others, and altogether it works out that they cost £5.36 each. So quite cheap, but every single one of them's 40. I've already repaired one. This is my second one now. It also says here anti-rolling mechanism, and I wasn't sure what that meant either, so I looked it up. And it's quite impressive. It says anti-rolling mechanism is a dramatically improved tape transport mechanism that maximizes sound reproduction even when the unit is in transport. And what I think that means is, for example, it will play fine when you have it like this, but let's say now if you were running around or like jumping up and down or walking quickly, then there's more chance of the speed varying when it's being played. So maybe that might come across as the sound being a bit distorted, so it might be going a bit slow or a bit fast. Well, the idea of this is to remove that from it. I think it said on one website that it's got flywheels or something in the inside, and that must be to allow it to move while keeping the same amount of rotations on the tape thing on the inside. Right, okay, that's how I interpret it anyway. I could be completely wrong. So let's pop some batteries into this and I'll show you what's wrong with this one. So let's turn, I've got a little speaker here so you can hear it. Now this is still the only tape I've got, so it's going to be a tape with talking on it. Let's go to the other side. From memory, this is one that plays really slowly.
Can involve him, who knows? He might persuade some of his wealthy cronies that I'm a bit of a scout.
It's really quiet. Not quiet, it's really slow.
Oh, is that a problem, Carolina? I do know about your association. I can't bring myself to think that it was even a friendship. About you. And feel you can put up with him, man.
So it seems like everything's working, it's just way too slow. So let's take this thing apart and see what's wrong with it. I think it's just going to be that the bands need replacing, but then again, I could be wrong. I was wrong on the last one I did. But let's see if this one's any different. Let's take the batteries out. But apart from that, it does seem to be working. So with this again, I can't see any screws, so it's probably just going to be one that you have to separate with force, which is a bit annoying because when you do this, there's a good chance of breaking the tabs when it goes together. There we go, that came off quite nicely there. This is opening very nicely. Right, it's managed to snap shut again on this side. There we go. Right, okay, so that's opened really well, really good. Needs a little bit of a clean. And here we have the inside of it. So what I'm thinking is that over time, this rubber band here has become loose. Now this definitely looks different on the inside than the other one, so I suppose this is what is meant by the flywheels. It must be these things here that have this anti-rolling mechanism thing. Thinking it must be to do with that. Right, let's see if this is how loose this is. Actually, I should have made a note of how that goes on. So it goes around here like that. So I'm wondering what moves up and down. There must be something that moves. Let's pop some batteries in it and see what happens. Okay, so that's playing. Oh, is it this thing here that keeps it under tension or something? Is it actually doing anything? Oh, okay, it's quite clever. So there's like a gear here, can you see, and it's making this thing go round. Let's stop. Right, it's shaped in a certain way, this one here, and when this turns, it's got bits that's moving this up and down. So this is the gear that's forcing this to move up and down. Like so. So that must be the anti-rolling thing. Now worryingly, the band doesn't seem to be that loose, but I'm going to change the band because it probably is that. I'm just wondering what this bit is up here. I mean, if there's no movement on this up and down and no movement on this, I wonder what is actually doing the movement. Not sure. I don't know, there's quite a few hairs in here though. Right, let's change the band over and see if it improves it. Right, so we need quite a big one. This is the one we want to replace, so let's have a look. There we go, that's going to do the job, isn't it? That one there. So let's keep this to one side just in case it might be absolutely fine. Let's replace it with this one and see what happens. Around there, around here, and onto here. So around these it's just a little pulley, there's just little grooves in it. The rubber bands I have, or the belts, whatever they're called, do feel a little bit thicker than the ones that's on it at the moment. Right, let's see if that makes a difference now. So I'm going to put the tape in. Do the other side.
Just say if you don't feel you can put up with him hanging around the place. No, it's all right.
That's much better, isn't it?
I feel absolutely detached from him. Well then, what do you think? Are my proposals worth considering?
I can't tell if that's slow or not.
The system. Greedy guts. Don't think it's going to go on forever. As the days get longer, the kids will be up earlier and earlier.
Do you know what? That's still too slow. Let me get my other working one out and then we'll compare it.
Got me wrong.
Ah,
Nice.
completely different.
Just you and me for a change. Planning the day. Talking before we get too tired.
Or too tiddly.
Right, okay, yeah, completely different. So obviously this thing still has a major problem with it being slow.
Sorry, I didn't mean that. Kids will be up earlier and earlier. Well, you've got me wrong. Oh, it's nice. Just you and me, but
Yeah, it sounds like they're both male voices, but they're not, are they? So when it's slowed down, the female voice sounds like a male voice, which is just quite odd. I just want to double check that.
Planning the day. Talking before we get too tired.
Or too tiddly.
Oh, Pat.
Sorry, I didn't.
Wow, God, they sound yeah, that's amazing. So it's it still sounds like two humans talking. It's just they sound like two men instead. So I suppose that's why it's probably best to have a music tape instead of talking, because you might have thought that that was actually working okay. Right, now, why is this slow? I can see that there is something I can turn here. I think before I go turning anything, I am going to... Because obviously it's not the belt, is it? And to be fair, this belt still has... Actually, I might put this belt back on, because look. I don't know, you won't be able to hear that, but there's still... That hasn't deteriorated at all. So I'm going to go back to the original belt, because there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. And also it's slightly thinner than my one, so now I have to find out why, why it's slow. Now there is something here that I can turn, and maybe that will speed up the motor. But then again, unless somebody's been tampering in the past, why was it turned? Maybe there's something else that's causing. Maybe there's something else that's causing it to be slow, like for example, like a dodgy capacitor or something like that.
oh, go on, have another piece of toast. I'll let you.
Unless of course this was to go round that way. Let me just try putting this band round this way. I don't think it's going to do any harm. Let's just see now, in case it somehow did slip off there.
Oh, what a good team.
No.
You always used to be. Remember how we argued on...
Right, okay, so it's got nothing to do with that there. I think I'm just going to Google it, because I'm wondering if I was to turn this, whether it would speed up the motor or not, because it's right next to it, and it is something that you can... Sorry, it says there, speed. It actually says, look. Have a look in there. It's hard to see, but can you see it says speed? I'm going to turn it. I'm going to turn it and see what happens, see if I can change the speed. I mean, this would have been all set at the manufacturer's, but maybe somebody's been messing with it after that. Or maybe something else has worn, maybe that capacitor here is worn, which is causing that to go wrong. So let me give it a little turn now. I'm just going to go a tiny bit that way.
Overgoing organic.
Right, so that sounds slower. You go this way a little bit more.
We agonised over everything. Yeah, but when we first started, it wasn't really me, you know.
Ah, there we go, listen.
It didn't take you long to get your blinkers off, did it?
Oh, wow.
Off. Is that what I did? I thought I was giving in to the little woman.
Right, that's the maximum.
Don't joke.
Am I allowed to say your bottom stool?
And that's the lowest.
If I'm not listening.
Right, so that must be the ends of the end of the tape. Let me rewind it.
Got me wrong. Yeah, it's nice. Just you and me for a change. Planning the day. Talking before we get too tired.
Or too tiddly.
Oh, Pat.
Sorry, I didn't mean that. Oh, go on, have another piece of toast. I'll let you.
Right. I think that sounds very similar to this one. So, I wonder if there's a way that we could actually find out the exact speed it should be running at. So obviously the speed is determined by the spinning of the motor here. But I think it's going to still be spinning too fast to visually see.
Oh, what a good team.
Yeah, that's spinning way too fast. I wonder if we were to put a bit of a mark here, would that make a difference? Whether we'd be able to see the mark or not. Just put a little scratch there.
Used to be.
Now again, it's too fast. So I think would increasing the speed add more voltage to the motor? Would that be how it increases, I wonder? Because I wonder whether there's any specification online that says what the speed should be, because if there is like a voltage, then I might be able to get the voltage online and tweak this with my multimeter until it's the perfect one, because right now I'm just doing it by voice,
We agonised over going
by sound.
We agonise over everything.
Yeah, but when we...
But for all I know, that could be a fraction too fast or a fraction too slow. Let's just see if we can take this apart a little bit further. Oh, also I need to put that back to here, don't I? Because that's how it was originally. Right, let me play it now.
started, it wasn't really me, you know.
Oh, didn't take you long to get your blinkers off, did it?
Take my blinkers off? Is that what I did? I thought I was giving in to the little woman.
Tony Art.
Right, okay. Let's take this apart just to see if I can get this section out of it. Oh yes, I can. It looks like it's going to come out quite easy. This is stuck in here. Oh, there we go. So the motor's here. That's very similar to the last one. Looks like it's the same motor. I need to give this a bit of a clean up. I'm just going to measure the voltage on that motor here. There we go, that's much better. Right, let's remember we're on the slowest setting now. Right, and that's only reading 1.28. And that's the slowest one. Right, now let's turn it all the way around to the other side. So that was 1.28. Turn it all the way around that way. Right, so it was 1.28, now it's 1.71. Now let's put it halfway. So that's that way. That way, so around about there. 1.28, 1.7, so maybe this is going to be about 1.5 or 1.48, something like that. There you go, 1.49. Excellent, so it's as simple as that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go online and see if I can find out what this motor voltage should be. And then you see, all I've got to do is keep tweaking that until I get to that. And then if it sounds right and it reads the same there, then I know 100% it's where it should be. So I'm going to be back in a little bit. Right, I'm online now and I've been looking for voltages and it's not coming up anywhere, but apparently the proper way to do it is via, for example, a test tape that's playing a certain frequency. So here we have 4000 Hertz, which I think is 4 kilohertz, if I'm not wrong. And the idea then is that you would then have, for example, an oscilloscope to listen out for that sound, and you can tweak your Walkman or your hi-fi or whatever perfectly. Well, I'm going to do it in a bit of a ghetto way and hopefully it might work out, and if not, I'll do it by ear. But the thing is, I'm kind of tone deaf anyway, so if I do this and then if it sounds okay, I'm going to run with it. So basically I'm on YouTube and I'm just playing a 4000 Hertz sound. So let me just take the microphone out and just take the headphone jack out, and if I press play, you can hear that. So what I'm now doing is I've got a 3.5mm aux cable and I'm putting it into the headphone jack here. So obviously that sound, that 4000 Hertz sound, is running now down this cable, and I'm going to run it in to this tape player here. And I've got it into the microphone jack. Now I know this is not a good quality way of doing it, but I'm going to give it a go, and if it works, it works. Let's just plug that into there. So I'm going to press play on YouTube, and then I'm going to record it onto this tape that I've been messing around with in there on the other side where it's blank. So let me just press play. So we're going to play. So now that's playing, the sound's coming out here, and let's just record it for a little while. I won't be able to hear it here because it's going into the input there. So I'm just going to record that for about 30 seconds or so. Actually, while that's recording, I'll show you what I've done on my phone here. So on my phone, what I've downloaded is, it's just an Apple phone. I've downloaded, it was a free app, it's called Spectrum. Not sure if it's Spectrum Analyzer or something. There you go, Spectrum Analyzer. You can also buy a pro version that the adverts keep putting up. But basically, you can go onto, I've gone to FFT Plot, and with this one now, how do I get out of that? There we go. And with this one now, when I play it back, it should come up on the 4K hertz here, and you see at the top here, it's the hertz. So this is me at the moment. Can you see when I'm clicking my hands, it's moving all around the place. So I'm just going to give it a few more seconds, and then when I play this back, I'm hoping the 4000s hertz will come up here, and then I can play this tape back on my Walkman via the speaker with this listening to it, and then all I've got to do is keep tweaking it until it's reading 4000s. So let's rewind this now. Take this out. There we go. Can you hear it? And if we have a look here, can you see? Okay, that's just stopped. 1 second. There's the peak, and look. Around about 4000s. So that's exactly what we're going to do, and we're going to tweak it until we get 4000 there. So let's go back over to the Walkman. Okay, so we're all set up now. You can see my phone's ready to go. I've got my speaker plugged in via the cable. So all we have to do is press play now. I'm going to angle it like this, and hopefully when I turn this, you will see the peak will move. So right now it's 3500. Let's just go to extremes, and hopefully you'll see it move up. There you go. Can you see it's moved up now to 4500, and the lowest is 3000. So you can see the peak moving. So I'm going to move it. I wonder if we can change the size here. Yeah, we can. There we go. Okay, so now you should be able to see it more. Right, so try to get it around 4000. Advert keeps popping up. Right, let's stop that, rewind it. I'm going to change it because it's not giving me enough variation. Okay, that seems to be about it. If you kind of look at the average, it's going to be about 4000. Okay, but it's jumping around a lot. So let's now see if it sounds okay, because if it sounds okay, then I think I'm going to run with that, because I'm sure that's probably going to be better than my hearing. So let's play.
Brian, I'm going to tackle Brian. I wasn't going to sell him Fly, but I bet he's still got spare cash. Don't we know it? I'll have to work on him. Get him involved.
Well, that definitely sounds okay. They sound like females. Let's pop it into this one here and see if they sound the same. I'm not saying that this other one is correct.
Invite him to watch us work with the horses. Impress him. But if we can involve him, who knows? He might persuade some of his wealthy cronies that I'm a bit of a scout. Good luck to you. Oh, is that cronies that I'm a bit of a... Yes, him. But if we can involve him, who knows?
Right, okay. Now, let's compare that to here.
So his persuade some of his wealthy cronies that I'm a bit of a scout. Good luck to you. Oh, is that a problem, Caroline? I do know about your...
Association. I can't bring myself to think that it was even a friendship.
Yeah, I think that sounds okay. I can't really tell a huge amount of difference. Right, so what I'm going to do is, I can see that there definitely was grease on these gears here, and this one looks like it's drying up. And when I grease it, it could affect the sound again, couldn't it, if it's moving a bit more smoothly. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to grease up these gears here. I'm not going to go crazy, but just if you have a look, you can see, for example, there's definitely grease on this one down here, and it looks like there should be grease on this here, and I'm just going to grease up this pivot. Yeah, that's about it really. I'm going to be putting it around here because this is the thing that's constantly moving around and it looks like it's dried up. Now, a grease that looks perfect for that is this grease that Chris from Gadget UK told me about, and basically it's Molycot, and normally you get it EM30L, normally you get it in a huge container for about £80, but there's an eBayer who's basically just scooping it out, putting it into smaller containers and then selling them off for £5. So this is going to be perfect for me because I don't need a huge amount of it. I would never ever get through the whole tub. So I'm going to be using this and just putting it a little bit just on the gears, and I reckon this would be a similar thing to what was on here originally. As well, I'm just going to clean up all the casing as well because the casing's covered in fluff. So I'm just going to use look at that, I'm just going to use a Q-tip, a cotton bud on it. A lot of hairs in this one. This Walkman was definitely a lot dirtier than my last one. I'm going to put some in here because that's where that thing's constantly moving up and down. I think that will be enough. I don't want to put loads in there. I think that's going to be more than enough. Let's get rid of that other hair. I don't know why there's so many hairs on the inside. There we go, that's in there again. Now that's moving around there. It might help. I don't think it's going to do any harm. Now I think I am going to leave the original rubber band on it because it still seems to be, it doesn't seem to have sagged at all. There's a lot of spring on it. Well, I think it's time to put this back together. So this side's now nice and clean. Let's just give it a little clean in here. Battery terminals look perfect. Oh, look at that. There's a hole to adjust the speed thing here. Look. Can you see that hole? Goes right the way through it. And that lines up with that one there. So you don't have to actually take it apart, which is nice to be able to adjust the speed. Well, that's quite good, isn't it? Just need something very small to put in there. I'm just going to get some new batteries in here. Right, so batteries in, speaker in.
Greedy guts. Don't think it's going to go on forever. As the days get longer, the kids will be up earlier and earlier.
Well, you've got me wrong. Oh, it's nice. Just you and me for a change. Planning the day. Talking before we get too tired.
Sounds fine.
Oh.
Yeah, it's rewinding and fast forwarding okay.
Oh, go on, have enough.
Right, I just want to fast forward it to the ends. Now I'm going to rewind it. I want to see if it shuts off. Yes, it does. Okay. So, that says to me everything is working absolutely fine.
Am I allowed to say your bottom still looks good in a pair of cords?
Only if I'm not...
What on earth is this? Just to make it clear. this tape is not mine. When I ordered my 1984 boombox, the tape was already in it. That's the reason it's the only tape I've got, because all my tapes must be at my dad's house. So I've never actually listened to this fully, so I'm not exactly sure what tape this is. But it's not me, honestly. It's not me that recorded it. Right, okay, so that is the Sony Walkman EX21. Nice little fix. So it looks like the original owner could have just got a very long thin screwdriver, put it in there to tweak the sound, the speed, and it would have worked for them. So yeah, that's one thing I didn't know they could do. I didn't actually know that they went out. So I suppose once the mechanisms and stuff start to wear, or perhaps maybe if the band gets a little bit loose, the belt a tiny little bit loose, maybe you can take up the slack a little, not take up the slack, but maybe by speeding this up a little bit, making the motor, send a few more volts to the motor, it will speed it up a little bit. So I don't know whether it's to allow for this getting slightly worn over time, you know, a bit loose, or whether it's to do with the mechanisms getting a little bit worn to take up the, you know, to take it up from there. But for the very fact they've got it there, it must be a thing that happens to them. So yeah, very easy fix, but still an enjoyable one, because I like the fact that I now know that there's holes in some of them, or even if there's no holes, there's the fact that you can turn it to adjust the speed. And more importantly, I quite like the fact of downloading the frequency from YouTube and then playing it and then tweaking it to get the reading from your phone. So I think that's quite useful to know. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'm going to be doing 6 more. I've done 2 of these now. I'll be doing 6 more of them because I did get 8 Walkmans altogether. I don't know whether the others will be so successful. Maybe it will get harder as I go along, I don't know. Or maybe they're all going to be nice and easy fixes. To me, it doesn't look like these have been taken apart before, because there was a lot of dust and hairs and stuff on the inside. So if they've already been looked at, chances are a lot of that would have, the hairs and stuff wouldn't be in there, because they would have been blown away just by fiddling. So I don't think these have been looked at before. These all look like they're the genuine article where somebody's just bought them from normal customers who often don't take them apart, and then just sold them on eBay because they couldn't be bothered to look at them, which is fantastic for me, because it means not every single fix is a nightmare. So thanks so much for watching this. Again, like I said, give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and please subscribe for more trying to fix videos, and also the other 6 Walkman fixes. Take care. Bye now.